film festival is showcasing a total of 20 short films. So I have total of 20 short films categorized into documentaries and narratives. So some are documentaries, the other are narratives. Each documentary has a duration of 12D minutes. So this is 12D minutes long, each one of these movies, and the narratives have 12N minutes. Now, I have no idea what D and N are, yeah? But I know that where D and N are in positive integers and D is less than N. So I know that D is less than N, which means 12D, of course, is also less than 12N. So I'm going to write it like this so that I don't forget that this data is given to me, yeah? Now I know D and N are positive integers. So, the duration of each documentary is going to be, or each narrative is going to be either 12 minutes or 24 minutes or 36 minutes, etc. Because D and N are integers, yeah? Again, remember, it is important that while you're reading the question, you think about what it means, right? What I can infer from here. So when I'm given that D and N are integers, so my first thought over here is, all right, now the duration of the movies is 12D and 12N. It means that the duration will be either 12 or 24 or 36, etc. of documentary as well as narratives, yeah? And of course, the duration of documentaries is smaller and narratives is longer. Guys, again, visualization is important. So, when I read this, that D is less than N, so I'm telling myself that, yeah, narrative is someone telling you a story, right? And once people start with the story, they just don't stop. So narratives are going to be longer, yeah? When I do that, then I don't get confused later on. I don't have to again and again come back and see, okay, which one was smaller, which was greater, yeah? And my chances of error reduce. So whatever information you have, it is important to visualize it. It is also important to, make sense of it in whatever way it works for you, yeah? Okay, the total runtime of all the documentaries is D minutes. So here the total time is D minutes. Whatever the number of documentaries are, and each has a duration of 12D, the smaller one, total it adds up to this capital D, the total D minutes. And the total runtime of all narratives is N minutes. So this is total N minutes. Now the total screening time is 360. This tells me that this D minutes plus this N minutes, this is equal to 360 minutes. So I have 20 short movies. And they all together, they run for total 360 minutes. Their runtime is total 360 minutes. Now in the table, select a value for D and a value for N that are jointly consistent with the given information. Fine. Now I have to look for values of D and N. Yeah, there are multiple ways of doing it. We will look at the options as well and how to solve it using the options. For now, let's look at the theoretical approach. Let's look at the one thing that will typically come to my mind and should come to your mind also, because it helps you again arrive at the answer very quickly. So I know that there are total 20 movies. I know that the total runtime is 360 minutes. Yeah. What does this tell me? What information can I gain from this? This tells me that on average, every movie runs for 18 minutes. Does that make sense? Is that okay? Why? 360 total minutes and 20 movies. That means the average runtime of all the movies together, D's and the N's together, is 18 minutes. So then I am, I can make the scale also, or I can visualize it also. I say that I have 18 minutes as the average runtime. Now, it will depend on how many movies are D and how many movies are N. All right. I know that my the duration for the documentaries and the narratives would be either 12 or 24 or 36, and further more and more multiples of 12. Yeah. If the average is 18, tell me, what can I infer from this? This means that one of them has to be a 12-minute duration. Anything lower than 18 other than 12 is not possible, which means that documentaries, and since I know that documentaries are of the smaller duration, which means that documentaries, the duration is 12 minutes, and I know this small d is equal to 1. This I understand now, right? All right. What about over here? What about the duration of the narratives that I know cannot be 12 now because the average is 18. I know that it could be 24 or 36 or 48 or so on and so forth. Right? These are the possibilities. Now look at the the data that is given to me. I know that I have been given that there are more documentaries than narratives. Yeah, which means that my average is going to be closer to the documentaries. My average, this 18, is going to be closer to the documentaries. These are my documentaries, and here are my narratives. Yeah. So then, is 24 possible? Is a duration of 24 possible for the narratives? If that happens, what happens? Here I have a 6 distance, and here I have a 6 distance. The average is right in the center, which means I have equal number of documentaries and narratives, and that is not possible because I know that my average has to be closer to the documentaries, which means this is not possible. All right, what about 36? Is 36 possible? Well, could be. Let's see. It is one of the possible, at least the way I see it right now, it seems to be one of the possible values. If narratives duration is 36 minutes each, right? Forget 12D12 and for the time being. I've already taken that into consideration when I'm considering 12, 18, and 24. So let's not worry about that. My duration, if this is 12 minutes, this is 36 minutes for each narrative. Here, I'm using weighted average as the scale method. So, if you've gone through that, this would make complete sense. Yeah, in case it's not making sense, then go through that once and then come back to this video. Okay, so then this distance is 6. This distance is 18, which means the number of documentaries is to narratives is in the ratio of 3:1. Yeah. Now let me come back to this point. It says the total number of movies is 20. Is it possible? Well, certainly it is possible. In case I have 15 documentaries and I have 5 narratives, the ratio will be 3:1, right? And total it adds up to 20 movies, right? All right, if that happens, then what is the capital D, the total duration of all the documentaries? That is 12 minutes into 15. 15 is the total number of movies, total number of documentaries. This gives me 180. And N here, my duration 36, and the total number of movies here is 5. So again, my duration is 180 minutes. And yes, it does add up to 360. So everything works out, right? So my answer over here is going to be, I will select 180 for both of them, right? I can, okay. So for example, 36, I got the answer. Look at 48. Let me assume that maybe the duration of the narratives was 48. Let's say I didn't have 36. What would I do? I would say here the difference is between 18 and 48. The difference over here is 30. Between 12 and 18, the difference over here is 6, which means that this is a ratio of 1:5. So that means 5:1 are the number of documentaries is to narratives. Is that possible? Can I have 5 documentaries for every one narrative when I have a total number of 20 movies? I can't divide 20 into 5:1 when the numbers are all integers, right? A number of movies has to be an integer. So that is why then I know that this is not possible. Do you see the constraints that are available to us? Yeah. So here we can use weighted averages. Typically, when I have two groups given to me, there are characteristics of the two groups, and I can find the average characteristic of both the groups. Your weighted averages can be very useful in those cases. Yeah. All right. Now tell me, what in case, the weighted averages, the whole thing did not come to mind? What would you do? What is the first thing that comes to your mind then? I know that I have been given certain options, right? I have this set of data that is given to me, so I'm going to use that somehow. So these are the values of what? Of D and N. Yeah, I know that D plus N has been given to me to be 360. This is total 360. So then first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to form pairs. That how can I get 360? Yeah, I told you before, when I have two variables and they are interconnected, my data becomes a much smaller set, because based on what relation is given to me, there are only two or three options that are possible. Like for example, over here, let's say if one of the D and N or N is 60, yeah, let's say if one of them is 60, what will be the other one? It has to be 300, because D plus N has to be 360, right? Which means that this is one of the pairs that are possible from the options. I have not calculated anything. All I'm saying is from the options. Then another possible pair is 120, 240. I don't know which is D, which is N. I'm not worried about that as of now. Another, let's not forget, it's also feasible that both for both the variables we select the same answer. Yeah, this is also feasible. We tend to forget this in two-part analysis. It is a trap, especially in some of the non-math kind of questions also. Remember that until unless I've been given that the values are distinct, both can be the same as well. And I see that 180 and 180, they also add up to 360. So this is also possible. Yeah, all right. So now let me think about, what are these values? These are, one of these is 12D into number of documentaries.